viewers, and welcome back for today's table talk session. It's your sister Siobhan, and I'm here to answer a specific question that was left by a commenter on one of my videos. And it was a great comment. It was a great question. So I definitely responded and said I'll have to do a video on it. And here was the question. Could you talk more specifically about how relevant credit reporting is for NACA? In a previous video, I shared with you the NACA workbook, and that one of the things that NACA, I'm pro NACA, or I'm promoting NACA, or I say NACA could be a route for some people, is that they do not discriminate against people because of their credit scores. Now, what exactly does that mean? What that means, sis, is that NACA wants to, yes, pull your credit score as any other person that wants to give you money as a loan, whether that's a car loan, a personal loan, a credit card. They're going to typically pull your credit because they need to know what you're spending or your debt or what you are like with your money. That's just in general. So whether you go through with NACA all the way, or if you start with NACA but then say I need to go a different route, this is important either way. So let's address it from NACA's perspective. On the website, and I'm going to share it on the screen so you'll see it. I'm going to read it from NACA's website. There was a question that they were responding to, and it says, how does NACA determine whether I'm ready for home ownership? So there's the clause. It does not matter if you go all the way with NACA. What does matter is what your credit is going to show wherever you go through with your home loan. And that, again, is not just a home loan. It's a car loan. It's a personal loan. It's whenever you're trying to get a loan, people need to know what you do with money. Are you doing it with what we call due diligence? Are you treating it the right way? So on this, it says, to determine one's readiness for home ownership, a NACA counselor, we refer to them as a MC, or a mortgage counselor. A counselor reviews the member's combined credit score or credit report from all three credit bureaus to determine if they have made on-time payments over the past 24 months, with a focus on the past 12 months for those payments within the member's control. To sum up what we just read, and this is what NACA is going to do when they pull your credit. They're looking at the past 24 months of your credit history. What have you done as far as in having on-time payments for what was in your control? So today is Tuesday, and it is January the 21st of 2020. Let's say today I went to go see my mortgage counselor, right? And today is the day that they pull my credit. This is my first initial appointment. My MC or my NACA counselor is going to run my credit for all three bureaus. And understand what, like on Credit Karma, for example, when I pull my Credit Karma report up, there's only two bureaus that report, and some of the debt that I have, for example, maybe on TransUnion, may not report on Equifax, but I know who I owe, I know what I owe. So, some things you may not know because you haven't been checking your credit, it will show up on this report. What's going to show up on the report? What's going to show up on the report are inquiries, are delinquencies, are late payments, are your total amount of debts, are your collections. All of those things matter. They matter. And when you're dealing with NACA, it will be all about time. And that is what's going to be, whether it will be time on your side or time working against you. And this is what I mean. Today is January 21st, 2020. If within the last 24 months, there is something reporting on my credit that is showing a late payment, that's not good. That's a red flag that somewhere on down the line, you've not shown due diligence. Okay. within the last 24 months, within the last 2 years. If there's something in my collections, when I pull up, whether it be Credit Karma, whether it didn't show on your Credit Karma, but when they pull it and it's one of your three bureaus that the credit that your credit reports to, and it shows up and it's in collections and it's been within the past 24 months, you're going to have to deal with that. That could be $200, could be $500, could be $2,000, whatever was within that 2 year, the 24-month marking. NACA is going to want you to address it. Now, when they say they don't discriminate, what that is saying is, let's say when I was 21, I had a repo on a car. Let's say when I was 25, I had a medical bill that I didn't pay and it went to collections. And let's say I had student loans that I haven't paid on. I didn't contact them. I didn't tell them I wanted forbearance or I wanted it to be deferred. None of that. I just did not make communication with people who I took loans, who I owe money. I have a debt with these people and I did not communicate. And therefore, it's resulted in me having markings on my credit. My credit score is low. Okay, that's like a common thing, especially when we're talking about people who are maybe just not as financially savvy, not as abreast with financial literacy. So talking about like a scenario, as long as that repo, that collection, those things happen prior to 2 years ago, you are good. But if it has happened within these 24 months from January 21st, 2 years prior, 24 months total, you're going to have to address it. That is what that is saying. Now, there is a next part. It says they will focus primarily on your past 12 months for those payments within the members' control. If it is a student loan, it is in your control. You have to make contact with your student loan and say, yes, I'll pay. You can try to lower your payment, whatever the case may be. But if it's saying that you have not paid on time, they're going to ask you, NACA is going to ask that you have 6 months of on-time payment because that's federal, especially if it's federal. If it's a federal student loan, like that's the federal government, like, yeah, you're going to have to show what we call due diligence. So that's how it can affect you. Things that NACA may be dependent on from one member to another member is in this last clause that says NACA counselors will not consider payments not under the member's control that are not a reflection of whether the member is ready for home ownership. These include items such as medical bills, predatory loans, and others. That is going to be at the discretion of your mortgage counselor. They're going to know whether or not it was really in your control or was it just you didn't pay your bill. You did not show due diligence. And I have not mentioned this before in my previous videos. However, it is very important that I mention that NACA expects you to pay your rent on the first every month. NACA expects you to pay your rent on the first every month. So if NACA goes to get your rental verification, and let's say you got paid, but you got paid on like the 31st, and you decided, okay, I'm tired, I don't feel like going and dropping off my rent today, and you decide to take it and drop it off on the 3rd. Okay, NACA's gonna be looking at you saying, why are you paying your rent on the 3rd versus the 1st of the month? And they're gonna be signaling red flag. The 1st of the month without fail. So we went ahead and got our rental verification, and before even going to our MC, we knew, what dates we paid our rent. Sometimes paying before the 1st. I mean, like if it's the 31st and it's Friday, we were going by and paying our rent like before the 1st. That's better than you paying it after the 1st in NACA's viewpoint. You know what I'm saying? So it matters. The next part says this is the best indicator of a member's responsibility in paying their mortgage payment on time. So you're trying to transition from paying your rent to paying a mortgage. If, for instance, your rent right now is only $750, but your mortgage that you're trying to have is $1,000, if you struggle to pay your $750 on time, NACA is going to be questioning, how are you saying you want to pay $1,000 a month when you barely paid your $750 on time? So if you've shown within the past 12 and 24 months that you've not paid on the first, haven't paid your rent on time, NACA is going to have you to show that for consistent months, you are paying on the first on time without fail. Time can be on your side, or time can be an extended process of time. And really, it's like a teachable moment. Some of us have grown up in households where you were brought up on survival mode. You may have been brought up with living from paycheck to paycheck, not knowing how to specifically budget your money. And so this NACA process, use it as a tool of financial literacy. Let it help you to get or create better habits than what you have in previous, if that has been you. If you've always been trying to keep up and, buying things that you wanted versus what you needed and taking care of your true obligations, use this as a refresher, as a clean slate, a fresh start. I'm going to do right now. And not just for you, but so that you can help other people. Hence why I'm here, sis. Like, I've not always been perfect in paying things on time, but when the process of time came for us and we wanted to be homeowners, it was a teachable moment. Like, okay, this is how this works. You know what I mean? And from then on, even now, we're continuing to grow and get knowledge on financial literacy by reading about it, by researching about it, by watching videos, just trying to become better, better as a person, better people with our money. So, credit is definitely relevant. Now, I'll end with this. Judge Mathis, I was watching a court show today, and Judge Mathis was talking about how most people spend money on things that they want, right? But when it's time to spend money on things that they need, they don't have it, and then they have to go borrow it because they spent the money on what they wanted. And this, going through the process, that definitely showed that to be true. Like, when we were like, okay, well, we need to save this amount by the time we go back to see our MC or mortgage counselor, we were saving like crazy. And then it dawns on you when you start literally sticking to your budget. You like, I could have been doing this years ago. Like, what in the world have I been thinking? Like, and ever since NACA, well over a year, like, we have been sticking to our budget and, making sure that we are looking out for things that we need. And when it's something that we want, you work towards it, but you do what's within your means. And a whole nother topic. So to answer the question, NACA will look at the last 24 months of what is on your credit history. If it is on your credit history as a debt, as something that you had control over, you will have to pay it as an obligation to show due diligence. And that will teach you to say, from here on out, I will do what I need to do to pay who I owe. When you sign paperwork, whether it be personal loan, credit card, a car payment, when you go to sign for your home loan, you're saying that this is the amount that I'm borrowing until this is paid in full, interest and all. And when you sign that paperwork, you are obligated to it, period. You need to count up the cost there with what I'm saying and see, is what you're trying to get, is it really a need or is it a want? Is it worth doing, or can you wait and save for it? Is the gist of that teachable moment. You can't make up for bad habits or bad behaviors that you've encountered over the previous years. But in the timing of wanting to own a home, that's a big loan depending on, the amount that you're looking for. So, I mean, yeah, it's real. It's serious. And you need to consider that. And they want to know that they can trust you with the loan that will be given to you. That's all for today's table talk session. I hope that was helpful in answering your question.